Good morning, my friends. Happy right angle cross of tension. You can see that it is a fourth line day. And you can hear in my voice when I've got more energy. Thank you very much, Channel of Mutation, design of an energy that initiates and fluctuates and offers a pulse. You know, every time I do these good morning, my mind thinks of Robin Williams. And it says, "Good morning, Vietnam! Hey, this is not a test. This is rock and roll!" Yeah, that's my mind. The Channel of Mutation is one of the channels that Robin Williams had. And this is actually the same line value that my own Chiron is. The moon in the gate 3, line of survival. Gate 3 is difficulty at the beginning, gate of ordering. And this is learning about the ability to recognize and distinguish between fertile and sterile in their various manifestations. So you can see Pluto detriments this line. And so every month, like clockwork, for the next several years, we as a human species are going to be conditioned to mutate. Can you see that Pluto in gate 60, line 3 right now? Conservatism. Okay, conservatism. We'll come back to that because I forgot to finish reading here. Pluto. You can see Pluto detriments the moon here in this line. Every month, you're going to feel it. The perverse denial of evolutionary standards, an innate contrariness which refuses to mutate. Aha! Can you hear the wacky weirdness coming out? Because, hey, you know, these are wacky weird activations. Wacky weird. Okay, so I did that. Let's do here. Pluto in this transit, truth, transformation, and psychology. Limitation, the gate of acceptance. Here we have the line of conservatism. Saturn exalts this line. Enlightened self-interest that naturally handles restrictions and limitations, ensuring identity and security. The energy to maintain identity and security despite limitations. And then Mars detriments this line. Ego gratifying self-interest that ignores limitations and suffers predictably. Energy which ignores limitations and pays the price. So, my interpretation of this, how it shows up, if what happens here, is that there is a definition, especially what can tend to happen. Here's Laveena with a highly activated sacral center temporarily because you know I got all those gates down there, a lot of them, including my incarnation cross. And then you have all this energy that pops out and all this silliness and this wackiness and this weirdness. And then crash and burn. Energy which ignores limitations and pays the price. So I've been up for 2 hours, actually more than that. I woke up at 5 something, and then I started working on my profit potential presentation. That's where I worked 2 hours. Last 2 hours I spent working on my profit potential coaching program. Ooh, it's so exciting. Forging ahead through new boundaries into new territories with my students. So exciting. Anyway, you can hear all of the energy in the voice. Lots of energy. Why? Fourth line, hey? We're about to externalize to friends, to familiars, our stuff. Okay, strategy. Here's the fourth line, strategy. Yeah, fourth lines are strategic. Getting the influence out to one's familiars. So, careful appraisal of opposing forces to establish a proper response is a fourth line trip. Learning here in the gate 21, biting through the hunter and huntress. Here we have Jupiter exalting this line. Success in action through clarity, the ego to succeed on the material plane, and the instinct to use willpower effectively in response to conditions. On the flip side, Earth detriment, a tendency when in the right to misjudge the power of one's opponents. The drive when in the right to follow one's ego rather than one's instincts. This is the ego circuit, as you know. Ego, big egos, all of these heart center gates. Have big ego gates. This is a really big one. And here is where we have Mercury conjunct the sun. Mercury conjunct, you could also say combust, right next to each other. So we wouldn't be able to see it if we looked up into the sky because they're right there, right next to each other. And here we have, again, the biting through the strategy, same lines. Do you see that? Same lines. Let's go look at the well again. The gate of depth. This is the line of restructuring. So you can see that the earth detriments this line. A resistance to structuring on speculation, with the tendency when activity resumes to have to do so anyway. A taste for long-term projects that will be frustrated in restraint. Oh, you know what I just noticed? My sun is conjunct Venus. Yes, the energy, the acceptance of what is. That's another nice thing that's happening right now. Anyway, channel of structuring was the last thing I wanted to take you through because this is a design of individuality from genius to freak. And this is a gate of humor or comedy, I would say. And this is the Fool. So let's go read those lines. They're going to be with us for a while, so we have some time. Here we have the gate of assimilation, splitting apart. That's our north node. That's what we're headed towards. So the assimilation here is the practical acceptance of the values of another path. This actually is conjuncting my Jupiter right now. This is where my Jupiter sits. Jupiter exalts this line. So this is my expression of Jupiter. Expansion and contribution through assimilation. The gift of communicating individual insight to the collective. And then we have, if you have it in your moon, this is your detriment. Motive-driven assimilation from an inferior position, i.e. for protection or nourishment. In other words, motive-driven assimilation for acceptance and protection from the collective. What does assimilation mean? See how it says splitting apart? You're breaking down complex, unique, individual insights into little tiny pieces, re-explaining it. Here with the fifth line, we have the new message or new way of empowering others with our individual insight. So let's go look at the south node. Break through the gate of insight. Here we have the fifth line of progression. Moon exalts this line, the step-by-step adaptation to relationships which hinder breakthrough through practical actions which will not jeopardize eventual success. The gift of knowing when a unique insight can be shared effectively with others. And Venus detriments this line. A tendency to concentrate on harmonizing relationships that tends to strengthen the position of restrictive forces rather than benefiting, breaking through. In other words, an over-reliance on the receptivity of others that turns harmony into the conditioner of individual expression. So these are like the glasses that we're wearing as a collective because we're all being bombarded by this frequency. So everybody going into the I know trip. Or maybe I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. You know what's interesting? It's really interesting when you get comfortable with saying you don't know, especially for me as an undefined ajna system. But here we have a defined ajna. So what is the majority of the planet going to be conditioned by? To think that they have to be certain about what they know and argue their point. Okay, argue their point. There you have it, my friends. This is our transit. So if you have an undefined sacral like me, pace yourself when you have all that energy. Make sure to rest, listen to your body. Your body knows best. And on that note, since I have a class to go do in about an hour or so, I want to go have coffee with my husband. I will bid you adieu.